Welcome back to ZNGP Today, with Marc Márquez entering the summer break in devastating form and holding a commanding 120-point lead in the 2025 MotoGP World Championship. Many believe the title race is all but decided, but Aprilia have other plans. In a remarkably bold statement, Aprilia Racing CEO Massimo Rivola has declared that his team will show their true value from September onwards, and that they are capable of beating Marc Márquez in the final 10 rounds. As Jorge Martin made his long-awaited return to MotoGP action in Brno, Aprilia turned the spotlight onto an unsung figure within their garage, Lorenzo Savadori, the team's ever-dedicated test rider, whose behind-the-scenes work laid the groundwork for Martin's seamless comeback. While the spotlight often shines on those who stand atop the podium, Aprilia's latest tribute reminds us that success in MotoGP is often built by many hands, not just one. Marc Márquez may be running away with the 2025 MotoGP World Championship, but if there's a rider consistently lurking in his slipstream, it's Marco Bezzechi. The Brno weekend marked another chapter in their growing rivalry, one in which Bezzechi not only scored a strong podium finish, but also gained valuable insight into the unstoppable form of the number 93. Jorge Martin's dramatic flirtation with leaving Aprilia barely a few races into his new MotoGP chapter caught the paddock off guard. But according to Aprilia legend Max Biaggi, this storyline is far from unprecedented. He's lived it, and turned it into championship gold. Don't forget to click subscribe button and the bell icon for MotoGP news update. Marquez's dominance so far in 2025 has been near total. 8 Grand Prix wins, 11 sprint victories from the opening 12 rounds. It's a performance not seen since his peak Honda days. At Brno, he extended his advantage again, brushing aside rivals in both races. Even the man himself admitted, "This title is mine to lose now." And yet, Aprilia are not conceding. Rivola's comments come with substance. The factory Aprilia squad has emerged as the strongest challenger to Ducati this year. Marco Bezzechi's win at Silverstone broke Ducati's win streak, while his dogfight with Marquez at Assen and second place at Brno showed he's no longer racing just for podiums, he's racing for wins. Aprilia sits second in the manufacturer's standings heading into the break. And now, with Jorge Martin fully recovered and rejoining Bezzechi in the factory lineup, the team believes they're only getting stronger. The changes we made were to fight for the title. We're clearly not where we wanted to be, but the second half will be different. Rivola statement. What makes Rivola so sure? He points to the remaining races, and the flexibility of the Aprilia RSGP. In my opinion, we'll see Aprilia's value from September onwards. I'm convinced we can beat Marquez. The Ducati is strong, but we're close, especially on certain tracks. Austria will be key, he says. Historically not an Aprilia-friendly circuit, it will serve as a barometer of their Rio progress. But Rivola sees enough in how the RSGP is adapting race to race, and how Bezzechi is riding it, to stay hopeful. Much of Aprilia's optimism rests on the shoulders of Marco Bezzechi. The Italian has arguably been the revelation of the 2025 season. A calm, analytical rider with an aggressive edge, Bezzechi has quietly become Marquez's closest shadow. Marco's done an exceptional job. If we're even close to Marquez, it's thanks to him and test rider Savadori. Also vital to Aprilia's strategy is Jorge Martin. After a difficult recovery, the Spaniard is back in the saddle. Rivola doesn't expect him to take long to fight at the front again. I don't think Jorge will need many races to return to podium form. If Martin returns at full strength, Aprilia could deploy a true two-rider offensive, something that no other non-Ducati team has achieved this year. Marc Márquez may have the title in sight, but Aprilia refused to raise the white flag. With Marco Bezzechi rising, Jorge Martin returning, and confidence radiating from the garage, the Italian squad is setting its sights high. The second half of the season could still hold surprises. And if Aprilia's ambitions match their execution, the fight isn't over just yet. Jorge Martin's return to action at the Czech Grand Prix was met with cautious optimism. The 2024 world champion, who joined Aprilia this season after clinching the title on a Ducati, has endured a rough campaign marred by injury and uncertainty over his future. Brno marked just his second full weekend with the Noali factory since his season began in Qatar. Martin showed solid form despite the layoff, qualifying 12th, finishing 11th in the sprint, and 7th in Sunday's race. But more importantly, his feedback and physical performance indicated something encouraging. He felt immediately at ease with the RSGP. Jorge's comments were good despite it being a long time without riding the bike. He felt an improvement compared to the bike in Qatar. Paolo Bonora, team manager, said. While most eyes were on Marco Bezzecchi's podium charge, Aprilia quietly highlighted the contribution of Lorenzo Savadori, who had stepped in during Martin's absence. The Italian test rider competed in 7 consecutive race weekends as a substitute, not to contend for points, but to accelerate Aprilia's technical development. Despite finishing outside the top 17 in nearly every race, Savadori was delivering where it mattered most, in the data. Also Lorenzo Savadori. Together they improved the bike, which allowed Jorge to be immediately comfortable. His efforts helped refine the RSGP into a machine capable of fighting at the front. Martin returned to a very different bike than the one he left behind in April, and it's showing in the pace and confidence already emerging in his riding. While Ducati continues to dominate headlines, Aprilia have slowly but surely established themselves as the primary opposition. Bezzecchi's victory at Silverstone, and strong finishes at Assen and Brno, have lifted the team to second in the manufacturers' standings, ahead of Yamaha, KTM, and Honda. Much of that leap is due to consistency, strategy, and key individuals like Savadori, whose feedback in test and race conditions has fast-tracked Aprilia's development. It's a testament to the depth of the Noali project. They are not just depending on star riders but building a structure where every role matters, from frontline racers to behind-the-scenes engineers and test riders. With the second half of the season approaching, Aprilia's factory lineup is once again at full strength. If Martin can build upon the momentum from Brno, he and Bezzecchi could become a formidable pairing in the fight against Ducati. For Aprilia, the mission is clear: maintain development speed, avoid injuries, and capitalize on circuits that suit their bike, starting with Austria and Misano. This is a track we like. Since Friday, both riders felt immediately good. Their comments were good. Jorge Martin's comeback was more than just a personal victory. It was proof that Aprilia's system is working. And in that system, Lorenzo Savadori's name now shines a little brighter. He may not headline the Sunday race report, but in Aprilia's push to topple Ducati, Savadori is a quiet architect behind their rising form. The Czech Grand Prix was yet another showcase of Marc Márquez's brilliance aboard the Ducati. After overtaking Bezzecchi on lap 8, he never looked back, securing his 5th consecutive Grand Prix win, and extending an astonishing unbeaten streak that now stretches to 10 races, including sprints. But Bezzecchi, who led the opening 7 laps, wasn't simply watching his mirrors. Once passed, he used the opportunity to study the man who has redefined consistency in 2025. He is a bit stronger, especially in the traction area compared to me. He was carrying a lot of corner speed, a lot of momentum, and he was really smooth. The Italian, riding for Aprilia Racing, observed that while he may have had an edge on the brakes, Marquez's ability to maintain flow through corners and transition into throttle application gave him the upper hand at Brno, a track known for its fast, sweeping nature. Bezzecchi's reflections on After the Flag offered rare, technical insight into the difference between good and great. While Bezzecchi was aggressive on the brakes, he noted that it came at the expense of fluidity, something that cost him dearly at a circuit like Brno. Maybe to brake so strong, I wasn't really smooth, and on this track that's crucial. It's very fast and flowing. That lack of smoothness, while effective at some layouts, became a liability here. Marquez's riding, by contrast, displayed a perfect balance, aggression tempered by finesse, particularly in acceleration zones where he managed to pull away lap after lap. Even before the lights went out on Sunday, Bezzechi and the paddock could sense Marquez was operating on a different level. You could see this from yesterday, but also Friday. He has been strong in every condition. From wet practice to qualifying and through to race pace, Marquez's Ducati never looked unsettled. Bezzechi was left to admire not just the package, but the harmony between rider and machine, one that has put Marquez 120 points clear in the title race. Aprilia has made clear strides in 2025, evidenced by Bezzechi's win at Silverstone and consistent podiums. But at Brno, even the best non-Ducati challenger had no answer. Despite falling short of victory, Bezzechi's reflections reveal a rider evolving with every lap. His ability to deconstruct Marquez's style, recognize his own limitations, and adapt will be crucial for the second half of the season. The Italian remains one of the few riders to repeatedly pressure Marquez on track. And if Aprilia can continue refining its traction performance, Bezzechi's Achilles heel at Brno, more head-to-head battles may soon swing the other way. As the summer break arrives, Bezzechi has every reason to hold his head high. He may not have cracked the Marquez code just yet, but he's closer than most. And in MotoGP, sometimes proximity is the first step to parity. For now, however, Marc Márquez continues to set the standard, smooth, relentless, and seemingly unbeatable. Martin stunned the MotoGP World when, after just one Grand Prix with Aprilia, he triggered an exit clause for 2026. The reigning world champion, lured away from Ducati for 2025, appeared to have lost faith in his new project before it had even begun. Legal threats followed from Aprilia. Yet after weeks of tension, Martin reversed course and pledged to stay. Max Biaggi knows the feeling. Speaking to AS, the four-time 250 cubic centimeters champion reflected on a similar arc in his own career. In '92, I made my debut with Aprilia. In '93 I left for Honda, then I came back and won a lot with Aprilia. I fell in love, fell out of love, and then returned to win. That second stint included 3 consecutive world titles from 1994 to 1996 in the 250 cubic centimeters class, showing that with the right machine and mindset, history can repeat itself. While team controversies often signal the start of decline, Biaggi believes success on track heals rifts faster than any off-track negotiations. Victories make these separations overcome. Winning is the key to not breaking anymore. In Biaggi's view, Martin's initial dissatisfaction could vanish if the results start coming. And the early signs are promising. Martin returned from injury at Brno and finished a solid 7th, his first Grand Prix finish of the season. His feedback on the bike was positive, and he immediately began working with engineers to close the gap to the front. While Martin still lags in mileage, Biaggi estimates he's 6,000 kilometers behind the grid's regulars due to missed races. The Noali-based team has made real strides in his absence. He is still at 70 or 80%. He needs races to find rhythm. But I see him positive and motivated. He'll adapt quickly. Teammate Marco Bezzechi has elevated Aprilia's standing in the championship. His victory at Silverstone and podiums in Assen and Brno cement Aprilia as Ducati's closest rival. That same bike, now being shaped around Martin's feedback, gives the Spaniard a genuine chance to challenge again in 2026. The Cold War between Martin and Aprilia has thawed quickly. Biaggi notes that the internal atmosphere has significantly improved since Martin recommitted. There is a very good atmosphere with him now. He's back and focused. Aprilia technical boss Paolo Bonora also credited Lorenzo Savadori's work during Martin's absence for improving the bike, allowing the Spaniard to return to a more refined, race-winning package. Martin's decision to stay with Aprilia in 2026 may prove to be a pivotal career call, one Biaggi is uniquely qualified to understand. If history repeats itself, Martin's moment of doubt could become just a footnote in a story of redemption and championship resurgence. For both rider and team, the second half of the season is now about rhythm, results, and rewriting their narrative together. Thanks for watching ZNGP Today, and this is your MotoGP news update. And see you next time!